Hey all, welcome to ShareTrek. Today is 28th of February. It's around 11:40 in Toronto, and we have another 3 hours at least of trading left. So the video today is purely going to be focusing on the indices and the shares. I don't have any new CRISPR news to report today. So let's get started. So first let's look at the VXN, which is what we usually do when we start our regular analysis. And it seems to me that this red line out here is no longer going to make much of a sense, because I can see a new pattern developing out here. If we were to link the lines here, this is a potential path for the VXN. Which would probably mean that it's going to be on an upward trend, which is not a good thing to happen. However, I'm still optimistic that we would probably be able to come below this, but then hope is something else, and what will actually happen is going to be whatever needs to happen. So let's look at the VXN right now. The VXN is VXN MACD is bearish, and the momentum is picking up slightly. So that sounds good for the short term, for the time being, because we opened up very high and then we came down. So we have dropped significantly since our open, and right now we are up only 0.86 points. That's around 2.76%. And the Nasdaq has been able to notch up a gain of 0.62%. That's around 84 points. And if I look at the chart for Nasdaq, you can see that I have this red line out here, which is supposed to be a resistance based on connecting the higher highs in the past. And this red line is supposed to be the support, which is based on connecting the lower lows of the past. And I have drawn this green line, which if this chart starts following that green line, then we'll be going into a bullish channel, and that's good news. So the key test is going to be whether we are able to break through this red line. And right now the 9-day EMA is giving us support, and the 20-day EMA is the first point of resistance, and the next point of resistance is going to be this diagonal red line, which today stands at around 13946.56 for us. And right now we are in 13774, so it's 200 points away roughly. So that's the situation with Nasdaq. And if I was to decide which direction things are going, if I look at the MACD right now, it has crossed over the signal line, and the momentum is picking up slightly. So if I was to look at it right now, I would think that it's on an upward direction based on the current snapshot, maybe for the next half an hour or 1 hour. At the same time, let us go and look at it on a daily time frame and see where we stand. So if we look at it from a daily time frame, we have the MACD, which is bullish. But if you look at the histogram, you can see that it's almost running parallel to the signal line, because the histogram size is identical and the color is slightly different. That's also it's wobbling a little bit, but more or less going parallel to the signal line. So it's kind of flat. And we also see that our momentum had gone into the overbought status, and it's now trying to cool off. So both of these things, when taken together, give me an idea that the market is going to move sideways and potentially down before picking up. Now, for the market to pick up, what needs to happen is there should be positive catalysts. A positive catalyst could be the success of talks between Ukraine and Russia in Belarus. That could be a success. Other successful things could be maybe a positive news from any of the big companies that are due to report. These are the two things I can see. Already at this point of time, the market is prepared to look at 0.25% interest rate hike in March as opposed to 0.5. But if any of those governors, Fed Reserve governors, were to speak, I think Buller is expected to speak shortly, either today or tomorrow.
somewhere during this week, and if we were to reiterate 0.5% interest hike, 0.5 basis point 50 interest hike, then what we are going to have is a reaction from the market which is going to be bearish. However, if it continues with 0.25, it's not going to impact the market much more than what it has already done. That's my personal opinion. Apart from that, positive catalyst could be the easing of the supply chain and therefore a much more freer movement of inventory. That could be something positive that we can look at. Apart from that, the negative waves that are currently in operation is the ripple effects from the Russia sanctions. So gas prices are going up in Europe, and they are having problems out there with regard to energy prices, and we are still in winter, so Europe needs gas. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is that that cost is going to flow into inflation, into consumer goods. So that is the second aspect of negative headwinds that we are facing. Some top Russian banks have been excluded from SWIFT, which means they cannot move the money around. As a result of which, what has happened is that European banks also suffered, and there has been a sharp fall in European bank stock prices. That would potentially flow through the economic cycle and reach US also. So if you remember, I sold Citibank a couple of days ago at around 60.30 or 60.5. Now it has gone down. So that's another trend that we can see. Banks will potentially go down, the ones with more international exposure. So that's another headwind that we are facing. And eventually, whatever inflation we find in the commodity prices are going to be the ones that hurt US companies. And there is also a few more things that are happening with regard to the sanction. Many media companies and network chains are not carrying RT and Sputnik. This is happening globally, so that happens to be another impact, which will have impact on media companies with advertising revenues and the ones that depend on eyeballs to rake in the billings. They are the ones that are going to suffer in this process. So those are all the negative headwinds, and today I am very happy that Nasdaq is gaining and VXN is falling. That means the market is focusing more on the positives rather than the negatives. Let us quickly look at the biotech sector, and we will see plenty of green out here because all our CRISPR stocks had been heavily beaten up and they are gaining. Whereas if you see the established pharma companies like Novartis and Pfizer, they are in the negative because they had not been beaten down so much. So in a situation where all the stocks are getting beaten up and CRISPR has already been heavily beaten up, there is a risk appetite out here in CRISPR. That's why we are seeing these positive gains out here. However, if the entire market was to turn around, then money might move from CRISPR into the other sector. So we have to be aware of that aspect. It's the twin-edged sword. Right now it looks good. But when the situation changes, there will be exodus of money from here. That is my personal opinion. So we have to watch out for that. So my ARCG is still down 10%, even though we have a gain of 1.58 out here. So there is potential for me to dollar cost average, but I'm waiting out to see how the headwinds pan out, because we need to wait for the Ukraine-Russia talks on the Belarus border and see what comes out of it, and watch the news on an ongoing basis. So let's quickly look at where our individual stocks are. Let us look at Teladoc first. And what I can see is that the MACD is bearish and the momentum is falling. Let's go to the 1 year time frame. And if we look at the 1 year time frame, what we are going to see is that Teladoc opened up much higher than where it was, where it closed on Friday. So it opened up very high. It got pushed down by the 50-day EMA, which is this green line, and now it's on its way down. At one point of time, it fell down as low as 73.57, and now it is back up again at 77.12. So that is the trajectory at which we are, and the MACD is bullish and the momentum is picking up. So everything is looking good for Teladoc. And if you recollect, Teladoc had posted a surprise of 87.68% on the EPS, and it had posted a surprise of 1.29% on the revenue. So Cathy Wood was right, and you can see the result out there, and that's what is giving this bullish push to Teladoc, and which is also going to have an impact on ARCG, because Teladoc forms a significant chunk of the ARCG portfolio, and we have 3 consecutive green candles. This shows a bullish trend, and our next resistance out here is going to be the green line that we see here at 65. It's at 52.35 right now. That is the 50-day EMA, and right now we are at 48.86. Which is just on the cusp of the resistance, horizontal resistance that we have, which is 48.82. So I'm pretty confident, looking at the MACD and the momentum, that we are going to be able to convert this resistance into a support by the end of the day. So it looks good for ARCG. Let's go back to Beam. Beam is up 5.85%. Again, we see 3 green candles. That's very positive. It's a bullish sign. We have got support from all the 4 exponential moving averages. MACD is also bullish, and momentum is also picking up, and there's a long way for the momentum to go before the RSI signals overbought status. So everything is looking for good for Beam to continue going ahead. Intelia looks great at 5.21%. Again, 3 bullish candles. That's a very good bullish trend going upwards. All 3 exponential averages, except the 100-day exponential moving average, is giving support to the pricing for Intelia. So our next resistance is going to be at 102.48. So when I look at Intelia, I'm feeling confident that today we are going to be able to convert 100.64, which is this red resistance line, into a support by the end of the day. But I'm also feeling confident that potentially we might even convert this next red line of resistance, that is 102.48, into a support by the end of the day. And what gives me confidence is the support of the 3 exponential moving averages, that is the 9-day, 20-day, and the 50-day exponential moving averages, as well as the fact that the MACD is looking bullish, and the momentum is picking up, and it is above average. So I'm feeling confident about that. Let's go on to look at PACB, which is up 4.58% today. And remember, each of this candle is a daily candle, and we have the support from the 9-day and the 20-day EMA here, we are doing better than what we did on Friday. Our MACD is also bullish, but the distance between the signal line and the MACD is kind of staying steady. So we are going parallel along. So that's not a good sign for me. However, the momentum is going to average, and it's pointing towards being above average going forward. So that gives me encouragement that we'll continue with this positive trend for the day for PACB. Unless we get any negative catalyst. Verve is up 7.54%. That's around $2.32. And we have our earnings coming up on the 2nd of March, which is a couple of days down the line. And our MACD is bullish and continues to increase. Our momentum is above average, is continuing to increase. So I'm confident that today we are going to challenge the resistance, which is at 33.69. So hopefully by the end of the day, we'll be somewhere close to 33.69. Right now we are at 33.06 for Verve. If we look at CRISPR, we are up 4.42%. That is $2.64. Again, 3 green candles. That's a very good bullish sign. Our MACD is bullish. Our momentum is going above average. Both of these are good signs. And also, we are looking at resistance at 66.36, which is going to be very tough, because it also aligns with the 50-day EMA, which is at 66.54. That is this green line. So there is headwinds out there, but today seems to be an all clear season to go ahead. So everything is looking positive, except for the caveat that if something goes wrong with the talks in between Ukraine and Russia, that could have an impact out here. Editas. We are down 2.78%, 3 bullish candles going up, but I would prefer that we go above the 9-day EMA, which is this yellow line out here. The 20-day EMA, which is this orange line out here. So we want to stay above that. Potentially we are in the process of coming closer to the horizontal resistance of $18.20 by the end of the day. Right now we are at 17.37. Our MACD is also bullish, and the momentum is picking up even though it is below average. Overall, it is looking good.
So it's positive for Editas for today. ARCG again is looking good at 2.89. It's a big beneficiary of the gain for Teladoc. 3 bullish candles, one after the other. This is looking pretty healthy. Support from the 9-day and the 20-day EMA. That also looks excellent. And we have got a resistance out here at 48.82. We are just above that at 48.83. I'm pretty confident looking at the bullish MACD here and the improving momentum that we are going to convert 48.82 into a support by the end of the day. Let's go on to Caribou Biosciences, up 2.58%. And we have a very solid green candle out here, but being constrained by the 9-day EMA, which is the yellow line, followed by the 20-day EMA. Our MACD is flat and bearish, and momentum is just about picking up. So I wouldn't be very confident that we are going to convert Caribou into a positive today. But if we end up flat or slightly positive, I'd be happy about that. And next we look at Allogene, which is flat right now, but 3 bullish candles. These 3 bullish candles will be indicating a bullish trend, provided this last candle, which is the candle for today, crosses over the 9-day EMA, which stands at 9.63. So if we go above the 9-day exponential moving average, then I would say that we have a bullish trend forming out there. We have neatly bounced off the support which has come from our long-term bearish channel, this red line out here. So that is still holding. That's a good news. And also we got a catalyst from the earnings on 23rd of February, where we had a 9.67% surprise for Allogene in the earnings per share. And also we had a surprise on revenue of around 763.03%. If the times were ordinary and if we are not under such a lot of risk on situation, I would have seen Allogene go up much, much higher. But I guess we'll have to take what we have here right now, given the overall circumstances. But a great performance by Allogene. Illumina is down minus 0.6%. That's around $2.10. And it's the pattern is not looking very good. We are going below the 9-day EMA out here, which stands at 327.44. Right now we are at 327.55. So we are almost there. And we have the support, which is here at 322.88. So I'm going to mark it as support for us to look at supporting our pricing for today. But we have been below the support before. So this is not a very strong support. Our volumes today so far, it's around 12 o'clock right now. So we've got another 4 hours of trading left. So the volumes are looking almost close to what the average are if we project it towards the end of the day. So not much information from the volumes either. The MACD is crossing over to the bullish side, but not yet. The momentum is falling. It's not looking good for Illumina. So it's going to stay in the red. Novartis again down minus 0.3. If you look at the chart pattern here, it is consolidating sidewards. It's a solid company. And right now the global headwinds are kind of bearing down on Novartis. Novartis will do well. MACD is flat and the momentum is dropping, but it's still above average. So it may probably stay flat or slightly in the red by the end of the day. Regeneron is up 0.06%. Again, Regeneron is having a consolidating pattern sidewards. It's trying to find which direction to go. And our red line out here continues to be acting as some sort of a resistance. If you see yesterday's candle and today's candle, it's some kind of a curtailing out here. Our 50-day EMA, which is this green line, is also putting a constraint out there. Our MACD is flat and the momentum is also flat. So I would be glad if Regeneron continues to stay positive by the end of the day. Next, let's look at IMTX, which is down minus 1.9%. We are firmly in a bearish channel. Psychologically, I'm loath to drawing the bearish channel because it confirms that we are going down. But if you draw 2 lines along there on the top and the bottom, connecting the higher highs and the lower lows, it's going to show you that we are in a bearish channel. MACD is flat, momentum is absolutely weak, so nothing great for IMTX to report here. Vertex is down minus 0.5, and now I have to unfortunately declare that Vertex has got firmly out of the bullish path, and it's now on a bearish channel. And if I was to connect all the lower lows out here, I would form a bearish channel. If I was to connect all the higher highs out here, it will form a kind of a pennant that will intersect somewhere in the future. And that pennant being formed on a bullish channel kind of gives me a hope that at the end of the pennant we may bounce off. So after this video session, I'll draw the pennant, and I'll have it ready for you for the next session. So this could be a formation of a bullish pennant for the for eventual breakout. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But for today, it's not looking great. Next, let us look at Bluebird. It has got the earnings coming up on 28th Feb. Today is the 28th. Probably by evening we should have the earnings. Let us see if it forms some kind of a catalyst. MACD is flat, momentum is flat, and we are constrained by all the 4 exponential moving averages as well as a horizontal resistance at 6.44. And our 9-day EMA, which is currently sitting at 6.26, is also the immediate resistance for us. So that's what I have out here. Pfizer is down minus 1.2%, and I suspect that Pfizer will continue to move sidewards and kind of consolidate out here somewhere between 47.99 and 45.56 for the next few days, unless we have any positive catalysts. So it's in a wait and watch pattern. So that's all I have for you today, my friends, and this brings us to the end of the session. Just to summarize, I think that if I look at the VIX, we are probably in a bullish trend for the VIX, which is not a good sign overall. So if I look at VXN here, I'll explain to you once again what I mean by that. Let me switch off this mobile, it keeps on. Okay. So here we look at this red line out here. It seems like this is no longer going to perform its function either as a resistance or as a support, because we have been freely moving through it in the last 4 days. So I suspect that this is going to perform its function anymore. I've also drawn a new trend line out here, which seems to be a new line that we are following. It's a new bullish trend line. So if we are anchored to this, which we'll find out at the end of the day and potentially tomorrow, then what's going to happen is that we are in a bullish sequence for the VXN, which means the Nasdaq is going to suffer. It's going to get beaten down. Now, if we look at the Nasdaq, this is just a quick recap. So if we look at the Nasdaq, we have got this green line I have drawn here. I want to see if we start following this green line and don't fall below it, then that would mean that we are going off on a bullish channel. Otherwise, if we hit this red line out here and start coming down and we go below this, that means we are still on a firmly bearish trend for Nasdaq. So I got both the eventualities out here. Everything will depend on how the Ukraine-Russia talks come out. That is the immediate catalyst. The next catalyst is going to be the Fed interest rate hike. If it stays at 0.25 basis points, then we are fine. If it goes to 50 basis points, then it will hit the market downwards. So that's my conclusion. Thanks for watching this video. Please put a like out there. And if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. We'll be very happy to have you with our CRISPR community. Thanks and have a great day. Bye for now.